If a girl writes there will be no sex, it means only one thing. Today there will definitely be sex. She's hinting.
Some think their breasts aren't big enough, others think their butt is too big.
On the first date, all men want to get to the bed as quickly as possible.
When a girl is passionate about something in her life,
it's much easier for a man in a relationship.
Oh yes, one invites you on a yacht, another on a private jet, and a third sends flowers.
A man's sexual interest in a girl drops significantly when he sees her as unsexy with face masks and cucumbers.
I really didn't want to make a fuss, so I chose to just stay silent.
We don't need hints, we don't understand hints, you have to speak directly to us. If I stop wanting her sexually, I've fallen out of love with her.
All our lives. We're told a man falls in love with his eyes. Be beautiful, well-groomed, stylish, and he's yours. But if it were that simple, millions of luxurious, beautiful, well-groomed girls wouldn't be single. There is something about this issue that completely bypasses logic, no? And goes straight to a man's heart. This something is not about eyelashes, not about the shape of lips, and not about dresses. Because being in love is like an old favorite song. There may be millions of melodies, and Oxy released a new album. But one particular song always sounds different inside. And you don't even know why, but every time. You choose it and put it on repeat. What makes men choose that one and only woman from among millions around and put her on repeat? Today on the podcast, I have relationship coach John Dollar, who will tell us, on behalf of all men, how men love and what we can do to get them hooked on us. John, hello?
Hello.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure for me too.
Tell us, how do you men, wonderful creatures, fall in love? What do you find in us? What attracts you the most? And what, on the contrary, repels you?
At the initial stages of dating or already in a relationship?
Both.
Well, at the initial stages of dating, it's no secret that it's often the external features of a girl that catch our attention first. We tend to fall in love initially with the physical aspect. We see someone beautiful and immediately want to approach her.
Well, beautiful is different for every man.
Of course. Some prefer tall, others short.
Yes. Well, there's a stereotype about 90-60-90. Some think she doesn't have a large enough bust. Some think she has too big of a butt for men to notice. Well, some of the girls. Does this actually have any place? Or, in reality, do different men like different women?
Different men like different women. It's just that more often, perhaps let's say 50% like 90-60-90, and the remaining 50 like 120-60 or 120. And then the breakdown goes on. That is more often athletic girls than, so to speak, chubby ones. Let's say 60%. But I have a large number of friends who, on the contrary, prefer when there's more.
Well, in general, it's individual.
Some like BMW, others like Mercedes.
Great answer.
Some like Ferrari, others like Lamborghini. Everyone has their own tastes. Therefore, as my consulting practice has shown, you can't put everyone under the same brush.
Well, you know, there's this famous question, breasts or butt?
Breasts or butt? Well, most often men will choose the butt.
Really?
Of course.
Interesting. I've also heard that in a woman...
Although both are important, the butt is in first place.
But again, even if the breasts are small, some people might be attracted to small breasts.
Yes, many like small breasts. Some prefer large ones, and others like silicone.
I heard about a study that found it's important from an evolutionary perspective for the proportions to relate in such a way that the waist is narrower than the breasts and hips. And this seems to attract men.
Everyone is different. For example, girls like it when a man's shoulders are wider than his waist. That is, a Spartan body with an upward triangle. And men like it the other way around, for the waist to be slightly wider than the shoulders. So, a downward triangle.
So, besides the figure, what else do you pay attention to? So, let's say they meet. The figure is appealing. What next?
Next, it's about how she starts communicating with him. Is she interested in him or not? Does she know how to compete for herself in his head or not?
Create competition for herself in his mind? Tell me more.
Well, whether other men are interested in her. For example, one girl came and said that her life is just work home, and she has 5 cats at home. One girl. And another came and said, look, today alone, 10 men have messaged me saying, hi, let's meet up. Where should I send flowers? Where should I invite you on a yacht? Like when I, for example, met Miss Rostov. Every day she shows me 10 messages from random men. Hi, let's meet up. Where should I send the money? Where should I send the flowers? And subconsciously, naturally, a man becomes more interested in a girl. Who is what?
Well, the one who is in demand.
Yes,
Well, damn, how do you do that?
that's how it works subconsciously.
So even if I do it pompously, or, well, hypothetically, making it up out of thin air, I'll create 10 fake accounts for my girlfriends on Telegram, and I'll say, girls, message me, home, and I'll show it. Oh yes, one is inviting me on a yacht, another on a private jet, a third sent flowers. But it's not true. A man will still have this, well, unconscious competition kicking in, or he will sense that something smells fishy.
Deception?
Well, yes.
Well, if she overdoes it, of course. There's an eco-friendly way to do this, and there's a non-eco-friendly way. Eco-friendly is when you genuinely look beautiful, go out with him in public, and he sees how everyone looks at you. There's no need to say anything. That is Johnny Depp with the girl he was dating. She doesn't need to show that people are interested in her. He sees it. Therefore, the girl, first of all, how does she create competition for herself? What is she needed for? To really dress cool so that the man sees, wow, others are interested in her, which means she is truly beautiful and cool. That is, he needs this societal confirmation that my girl is really cool. And then he is like, she's mine. And when he sees that no one is interested in her, his sexual interest in her is the first to decline as well. And then everything else follows from that. Therefore, first and foremost, you really need to look cool. Secondly, sometimes you can come and say, today someone tried to hit on me in the metro or when I was getting out of the car. But of course, I didn't say anything to him. I said, I'm with you. I have a man. And he's like, of course you're with me. Yeah. The same influence works on girls too. She comes to the club with a man and another girl starts hitting on him. She thinks, wow, come here. You're mine.
Many female psychologists say that being attractive to men, the kind that everyone wants to meet and everyone looks at, isn't about external attributes, but about some kind of energy. What do you think about this? Is there really some sense in it? Maybe femininity, if you call female energy, on some inner confidence in one's sexuality, and that's why there are so many men around me? Or is it all nonsense?
For men?
Well, yes. If we say that we want to become those girls, the ones next to whom my man looks at me and thinks, yes, she's mine, and it's clear that others want me too.
Well, it's more about physical attributes than internal ones, about appearance. Yes, more than internal ones. I'll be with mine because she's so spiritually developed. But I've never heard that.
No.
She has such a strong feminine energy. I'm with her because she's 1 meter 80, 60, like 90, 60, 90, and does things with me in bed. Wow, damn, I've never met anyone like that. That's what I've heard. But something like, she read 8 volumes of Pushkin and War and Peace as well in addition. That's probably why I'll be with her. But you don't encounter that, rarely meet.
Uh-huh.
I've never met that at all.
So this term feminine energy, was it invented by women?
Yes.
For women?
Yes.
And you don't perceive that?
No.
I see. Well, okay, have you met?
It's business.
Got it.
Like cosmetics. You already have a beautiful face, but they push on you that you need cosmetics to be cooler. But in reality, the pores get clogged and all this junk goes inside.
Uh-huh.
So it's about what was imposed on whom. It's a profitable business, laying out tarot cards. I'll tell you what kind of man you have. He'll be like this and that with you. You need this and that kind of man. The fact that she doesn't know how to build a relationship with him doesn't matter. The main thing is that the stars above said so. Also something made up by you.
Well, yes.
Or I pray and money will come. Girls believe in this too. There were all sorts of those. What were they called? The ones who got arrested, huh?
Elena Venevskaya?
Yes, the Wish Marathon. Well, it's cool that you sit and meditate on it. But in reality, business is done differently. You need to invest money in advertising, create a product, shoot a video, and edit it. That's how business is done. Not by sitting. Can we imagine a businessman sitting and meditating? And the money comes in? Of course not.
So it's all done with some external attributes. Just, well, tell me more about it. A beautiful girl, what is she like?
The girl needs to engage in something.
Oh, I see.
And what to engage in, that's already the 850th question. Meditations, going to the gym, sitting and doing mantras. What's the difference? Let her do whatever she wants.
So when a girl is passionate about something in her life,
It's much easier for a man in a relationship.
for a man, but she becomes more attractive.
She doesn't bother her man as often.
Look, let's take my example. I host a podcast.
Yes,
I'm full of responsibilities.
yes.
Does this make me more attractive on the bride market?
What makes you more attractive? What?
That I have something I'm busy with,
No, not the activity.
doesn't it?
If you had, for example, 1 million followers, that would be much more attractive. That would make you much more attractive. Why? Competition for you. And how you achieve that is already the 850th question. You're a dentist. You breed dogs, cats. Just dance. Do something on camera. In general, when it comes down to it, a man doesn't care when he falls in love.
So men are attracted to successful, beautiful women.
Not all of them. Some, on the contrary, want someone quiet.
Yes, that's one of my questions. Why do they choose plain Janes, like in our favorite movie, 50 Shades of Grey?
A man chooses a girl for his own motivation.
Uh-huh.
Everyone has their own psychological type. Some are motivated when a woman is much cooler than them, and others, on the contrary, when she is much weaker. Let me explain. Much cooler. He met a businesswoman who earns 20 times more than he does.
Uh-huh.
He communicates with her. She develops him, explains business to him, helps him, possibly guides him along this path. He grows with her and he feels great with her. He has that kind of psychological type. He needs a girl like that.
Uh-huh.
And some men, on the contrary, have a psychological type where when they meet someone cooler, they don't feel like a man, so to speak. But when there's a poor girl next to him who earns just a little and is always in trouble, his instinct kicks in. I'm the hero. I'll help you. I'll protect you. And because of this, his motivation is activated.
Uh-huh. And what are you doing? Breathing with my womb. Developing feminine energy. What are you, dear? Intense feminine energy isn't about breathing with your womb. It's when you enter a room and everything changes. Everyone starts to feel your presence. And it doesn't happen because of any particular clothing, not because of techniques you do, but simply because of self-awareness. When you enjoy yourself, the whole world enjoys you. And men start approaching to get to know you. Everything in life starts to go differently. So what are you doing? Breathing with my womb. Screw it. I'm with you. Tell me, when a man falls in love
Yes.
with a girl, how does it happen for you? What do you feel?
Do butterflies flutter? We feel like we want to spend more time with this girl. We don't want to give her to anyone else. We want to be with her, fall asleep together. Romance, stability, a relationship.
Do you immediately understand where a girl is just for, well, a fling and where a girl is for a relationship? So do you categorize us? Or is there no such thing?
It exists. But there are extremes there too. That is, there are cases where it's clear with this one, just once, and that's it. For example, he met her in a brothel. He understands, well, it's unlikely that you'll build a relationship with her in a strip club. Well, it's clear. And there are cases where he thinks, damn, she's beautiful, cool, but I need to understand on a date how well she suits me. Uh-huh. And already on the date, he decides whether she is really for a long-term relationship or not. But something else is important here. What's important, as I've noticed, is how ready he is for a relationship and she is, because even if you are a great match for a relationship, but he is not ready for a relationship, no matter what you do, he will be with you without a relationship for now. Or conversely, the girl is not ready for a relationship, but he is ready. Also, no matter what she does, well, it will be difficult for you to come together in a relationship. Therefore, everything here depends on your readiness. If you are ready and he is, the chances that you will have a relationship are very high.
And how do you understand that a man is ready? What criteria does a truly ready man have?
He already wants to play for the long term, possibly for life.
Uh-huh.
He wants to meet with you more often. He meets with you even without sex. He arranges different dates for you, gives you gifts. These are the first signs that a man wants not just to sleep with you, but really wants to build a relationship with you. He is ready to meet with you at any time without sex, just to have dates. They invite you just to their home.
I see. What else?
What else? How to understand? Or for a serious relationship.
Well, yes, how to understand that a man is serious, that he's not just using me, that he doesn't just want to get me into bed and then forget everything.
On the first date or during the dates?
Both on the first date and during.
On the first date, all men want to get to bed as quickly as possible. Why? Not because we're lustful, but it's just easier for us with you. The longer a man dates a girl without sex, the faster he falls in love, starts to act foolishly, and gets nervous. The girl sees all this, and he becomes uninteresting to her.
So, this technique that everyone teaches, all the women's courses, that a woman should marinate as long as possible so that this emotional closeness happens in the couple before sex. Does it actually work?
He falls in love before sex?
Well, yes. Yes.
It varies. I have a friend, we went to a club together. I helped him meet a girl, and they had everything happen that same evening. They've been together for 4 years now.
Well, yes, but there's just something, like there's a deviation from the norm. And in a normal distribution, men usually think that if a woman agrees to sex quickly, she's somewhat frivolous. Well, does that thought creep in, honestly? Or are there no such stereotypes?
I haven't met a single man who told me I slept with her on the first date. She's easy. I forgot that I shouldn't swear.
You can swear.
I haven't encountered that. So if a man says something like that, well, I always say this. It's not that she's easy. It's that you were lucky enough that she liked you so much she was ready right away. Why? Because there are few women who just want to have sex. Most often, a woman wants a relationship to have sex within a relationship. This is a simple example. We take a man and ask, what would you choose? 1,000 different women or one and only? What would 95% of men choose? 1,000? 1,000 different ones, of course. And if we conduct the same survey with a woman and ask her, what would you choose? 1,000 different ones or one and only? One and only. That's how much women want relationships. And that's what they want in relationships. So the fact that she slept with him on the first date means only one thing, that she liked him so much that she's ready to build a relationship with him. So that's how lucky he is. This simplifies the task for a man who was also looking for a relationship, not just a one-night stand. If he was looking for a one-night stand, well, obviously it also made things easier for him. But if he was looking for a relationship, then he can relax, understanding that everything is great between you. Now he can behave calmly instead of being silly and coming up with incredibly stupid, dumb dates where he could mess everything up.
Mess it up.
Mess it up, yes.
The nervousness.
Yes. He overdid it, so to speak. He did such crazy things. It was just insane.
Well, okay, so what should you do when you like a man and you agree to be intimate with him? Possibly too soon. Sooner than the time recommended by all the female coaches of women's courses. And you, let's say, after the first date, you sleep together, right? And that's it. And then the man loses interest. And this is what all women are waiting for, that he will start doing those silly dates you mentioned, like courting, at least at the same level as before sex. There. Oh. Well, okay, this is not the ultimate truth either. I haven't collected statistics, but, such cases do occur. Does this mean the guy or the girl did something wrong?
She didn't make him want to have a relationship with her, and it's not about sex at all. I don't know what a girl would have to do for the sex to be so bad that he wanted a relationship, but after sleeping together, he realized, no, I can't build a relationship with her. I've never encountered that.
Is there such a thing that men fall in love with sex? Or fall in love after sex?
That's all short-lived. Relationships aren't built on sex after all.
I agree with you. But there are also a lot of people who ask how to make him fall in love through sex. Like, after such sex, he won't go anywhere away from you. It always seems to me that these are very surreal headlines.
That's marketing to sell their courses faster and make them more interesting.
But it doesn't work that way?
I generally recommend the first time should be standard, plain, calm, not like this, where the girl tells him, should we look at the first time from a woman's perspective or a man's? A man's. So let's imagine this situation. It's your first time, and the girl immediately wants to show all her tricks as she was taught so that he falls in love. So you handcuff me, take out, put it in another hole, put in a gag, take out a whip, spit on me, pee on me. I'll do everything deeply for you, polish you up according to the whole program. Can you imagine a man's reaction to the first time being like that?
Yes, I can imagine.
He will be a little shocked. But when it's all gradual, like she tells him about it, on the 5th or 10th date, he will perceive it as the development of your sexual life. He understands, damn, that with this girl, it's not just all classic, because it becomes boring for both the girl and the man just in bed, and there it's already some kind of variety. He thinks, damn, with this girl you can grow. That's cool. Tried it at home, next time on the backseat of the car, next time there, in a restaurant, in the bathroom, in some classy cool place, next time at the sea, on the beach, next time there. It's a hotel chain Podushkin, with all sorts of attributes in the room. He understands, damn, cool. We won't have stability, we'll have development. In this regard, I will always have sexual desire for her.
And what could happen? What mistake could a girl make that would cause a guy to lose interest in her after sex? Or is it not about her at all? And if a man is set on a relationship, then he won't lose interest after sex. And if he only wanted sex, then whether you keep him waiting or not, you'll still sleep together and love will fade away.
It's not about the sex at all. Sometimes I had such experiences, speaking from a man's perspective, that I thought the girl was probably sitting there thinking, God, that was the worst thing that ever happened to me in an intimate sense. I had such an experience with a girl.
But after that, she didn't disappear. Did you somehow not perform well?
Well, it lasted about 5 seconds probably. I finished quickly. Because she had been warming me up for a long time before that, and then, bam, it was over. And the sex was over. It lasted 5 seconds, so imagine what I should be thinking in her place, what that was. But still, there was a 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 10th date with her. So it's not about the experience if something went wrong, either on his part or hers. It's about how she behaved before that. If we're talking about relationships, for example, she started wearing non-sexy clothes at home. Yeah. Some kind of strange clothes with little holes, some kind of robes, instead of sexy lingerie, or, on the contrary, silk robes, transparent lingerie. This greatly decreases a man's sexual interest in the girl. When he sees her as non-sexy, with face masks, with cucumbers, all of this should be done before the man arrives. He should always see you as sexy. Then the interest will remain. This is one of the conditions. The second is the same competition, but there is the right kind of competition and the wrong kind, wrong competition. You went with him to a restaurant, other men smile at you, and you smile back at them. He then understands you're a slut. But if he went with you to a restaurant, other men smile at you, and you still look at him. He sees how other men want to steal you away, yet you still look at him. That's cool competition. His interest in you grows even more. He wants and desires you more. These are the 2 main factors I would recommend girls to stick to.
How to distinguish when a man is serious about a relationship with me and when he just wants me quickly? Here.
On the first date?
Well, yes, at the early stages, the first month of communication. By
his initiative. Actions. You should always look at actions.
Well,
We men can also tell stories just like you girls.
In what way?
Well, like, I want to live with you forever or endlessly. And so on. Look at actions. How often he writes to you, how often he calls you, whether he invites you just for some fun or actually to go out. These are the first signs he meets with you for fun or to go out. If also meets to go out somewhere, go to the theater, the movies, go ice skating, go shooting with some kind of automatic weapon, a shotgun, ride a motorcycle through nighttime Moscow just without any fun. This already means, yes, he actually wants not just fun with you, but also a serious relationship.
I had a situation where we started talking with a guy and it seemed like it was obvious that we had mutual attraction. At least that's what I thought. And for some reason, he always came with a friend. What does that mean?
Interesting. And the first time I've encountered this.
And I clearly remember.
How old was he?
24. 25. Something like that. I clearly remember we had a conversation. He asked me, like, what am I doing today? Let's, like, have a drink. I write to him, like, do you want to get me drunk and have sex with me?
And there wasn't sex yet?
No, there wasn't sex yet. He was like,
wow, that's a direct question.
Well, yes.
Officially. Usually we men, sorry to interrupt. Usually when we men receive such messages, we understand that today there will definitely be sex. If a girl writes, there won't be sex, it only means one thing. Today, there will definitely be sex. She's hinting.
No, well, I just asked him a direct question. Do you want to get me drunk and have sex with me? He wrote, yes. I was like, well, come over, we'll see.
But in my defense, I want to say that you made me embarrassed. First of all, he's a cool guy for being so direct. I thought he would be afraid to answer directly, like, no, I'm not interested in that way, but it's interesting in a softer way. He was direct, yes. And you were direct, well, come over, we'll see.
We didn't have sex that evening.
I would have liked such communication with you. There's playfulness, cool.
No, well, like, it's already clear to all of us. To what? Maybe that's exactly what I was missing.
Didn't push it, bastard.
Well, yes. Well, never mind. That's why I'm saying. Oh, so what? Why did I start telling this story? What do you think? He came with a friend. So, can you imagine we had this exchange?
Now it's clear that there wasn't.
I could have just, well, really met him in a towel. Yes. I thought about doing that. But then I thought, no, this smells like trouble. Better hold your horses. I need to see how he arrives first. Maybe he didn't mean that. Who knows?
There's this joke on the internet, like, a man thinks to himself on the first date, I thought she was coming for coffee, but she came to hook up. Women's thoughts on the first date. I thought I was going to hook up, but he actually invited me for coffee.
Well, yes. And then he arrived with a friend. I just remember I opened the door. You should have seen my face. Well, it was just the height of indignation. I was so angry.
Maybe he was hinting at something?
Well, we kind of agreed directly with him. So, what?
But that's a very strange story. But did you ask him?
I confronted him later.
No, you should have asked right away. Oh, you're not alone. Why not alone?
Well, no, I didn't have the guts for that. I'm brave in text. But in person, I'm like, oh, hi.
And that's the main mistake, which is why relationships end later.
Okay, go on, tell me.
When something bothers us, we should say right. At that moment, I feel uncomfortable. I don't like this. Why did you do that? And then we get answers immediately. The conflict is resolved. But this applies to both girls and men. Men also often keep silent. For example, here's a situation. A client comes in and says he's been dating a girl for 5 months. They haven't seen each other for a month. She was in another city. He comes to visit her as a surprise. She's sitting with a friend. And she says, listen, like, I'm with a friend. I didn't expect you to come. Let's meet tomorrow. They hadn't seen each other for a month. He didn't even kiss her passionately. She just kissed him on the cheek. He says, well, damn, I came to see you somehow. She says, well, if you want, sit with us. So he sits next to her, she's here, and the girl is opposite, as he describes. And she turned away a little, sat down, and started texting someone. He looked at this and said, who are you texting? She says, it doesn't matter. Don't you trust me? This is my personal space. So he swallowed it, instead of saying, let's see what's going on here. I already feel something's off. He swallowed it and now sits there thinking, damn, why didn't I do that? Now I'm sitting here imagining things. Everyone needs to do the same thing. At that very moment, if something bothers you, ask again, and say that it makes you uncomfortable. They won't do it to you like that. Maybe, no one before you told him that it's not okay to do that you don't like it. Maybe all the girls forgave it. He might not understand that it's wrong. Therefore, your task is to show what you like and what you don't like.
I agree with you. And overall, that's the reason why we eventually broke up. Because I kept silent throughout our entire relationship, even though it didn't last long. But it was very hard for me to talk about how I didn't understand why you were behaving that way. Because I was afraid of being labeled as someone who is overthinking. I really didn't want to overthink, so I chose to just stay silent. Although, well, there were questions. And how do you understand where that line is? And how to talk to a man so that it doesn't come across as overthinking?
Well, you see, it seems that in past relationships, either you heard that you were overthinking for someone, but you need to communicate with the man about your problems. Why? If you don't say what you don't like, it builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up. And what will happen then? An explosion. Either on him, either you just say, to hell with him, he doesn't feel me, doesn't hear me, doesn't see me. I hint to him, although we shouldn't hint, we don't understand hints, we need to be told directly. And then she leaves for another man. For example, this happened to me in a relationship with a girl I was with for 4 years. She kept silent, afraid of losing me. I was such a harsh tyrant. As a result, we break up, and I don't understand the reason for us. For men, breakups are always unclear. How did it happen? Everything seemed fine. But the girl had been enduring him for a year, and he didn't see it. And then at the end, she laid out a whole list of things that didn't suit her, and I thought, why didn't you tell me this earlier? Are you out of your mind or something? I would have fixed all that, changed it, and we could have continued building the relationship just like you were afraid of. Afraid that I would mess with your head. This needs to be said. And the proper man should understand, one who has delved even a little into the topic of relationships, so to speak, that a girl needs to talk about her feelings. That's how she shares. When she talks about it, she gets rid of it. It's like when you talk to a friend. You had a problem, you talked it out, and it seems to feel lighter.
Yes, yes.
Similarly, a girl has several options for whom to tell her problems. First, to a man, a friend, a psychologist, or a lover. Let her choose whom she wants to share her problems with. If friends are already tired of it, or there are none, where will you go? To a psychologist for his money, or to a lover for free? It's unlikely that the first and second options suit him. Therefore, a man should, when in a relationship, understand that he needs to communicate with his girlfriend and definitely find out what she likes and dislikes. And the girl should also ask what he likes and dislikes. How do you want to make each other happy? Why do you enter into a relationship? To make each other even happier. And how will you make each other happy if you don't ask, how can I make you happy? And you don't ask him, how can I make you happy? Not only do you not ask, but you also don't say anything when something bothers you.
It's just that there's a lot of information now, about relationships being easygoing. That men like it when a woman is all blissful, immersed in her own life. And then this man appears in her life, and she seems happy that he's there. But if he leaves, she will let him go too. And so, when you're like that, it's as if the man is completely with you, and everything else doesn't matter to the girl.
No, you definitely need to talk about your feelings. As a man, I believe that's why my girlfriend tells me how lucky she is to have me. She says, you're not just a man to me, but also a friend. I can share my feelings with you at any time. You can listen to me. This makes me fall so deeply in love with you. It's just incredible. Men need to understand this. They definitely need to talk about everything with their girlfriend.
You talk to a lot of men, and you've already mentioned that sometimes a man is not ready. How can you tell in the first meetings that a man is not serious, that no happiness can be built with him, and you can just, move on? What kind of man is this?
First, he rarely meets with you. When a man is in love, starting from this point, he wants to see the girl more often. If he sees you once a week, a lot of questions already arise.
Questions? So it's normal if questions arise?
Of course. I say it again. You need to look not at the words. Darling, I'm just swamped with work. I can't see you for a week. What kind of... You can always find an hour to quickly meet up, sit together, and then go about your business. Therefore, a man in love seeks to meet at least 3 to 4 times a week, at least 3 to 4 times. And when he's head over heels in love, he wants to see her every day. I remember when I fell in love in Rostov, we met every evening for 9 hours. I would pick her up at 8 in the evening and she would only go home at 6 in the morning. That's how much I wanted to build a relationship with her. Every day I met with her for 9 hours. Can you imagine?
Was this before sex? Or did you? Or
First date without sex, second date without sex. Third, yes, the third date was with sex.
and after that, did you still have the enthusiasm to spend a long time with her?
Of course, I was head over heels in love.
Yes. So, what are the characteristics?
How often does he meet with you? Does he meet with you without sex? Where does he take you? Home or to some interesting places? When a man is in love, he wants to show you some new cool places, to experience emotions together with you.
Don't surprise you.
Yes,
Yes, I agree.
so that he's also afraid that you might fall in love with him. Heaven forbid. That's why he will, so to speak, do everything beautifully. These are the first signs. How often, where he takes you, and what he does for you. His actions. Does he text first or not? That is, the initiative should also be 50-50 here. Does he ask how you're doing or not? Does he want you to move in with you or not?
And how do you generally feel about female initiative?
Very well. But 50-50. Why? If someone takes 100% of the initiative, then someone else has to take a passive role. And it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman. It's bad for both men and women. Therefore, in harmonious relationships, in the right relationships, when the initiative is 50-50, that's ideal. But not in everything. For example, he organized 3, 4, 5 dates for you, and you organized 1 or 2 dates for him. He also finds that very pleasant. In communication, it's 50-50. In interest in the dates. One day you invited him, the next day he invites you. This keeps a man interested, he understands. He also needs to see some signs of interest from you, because when a man sees that only his initiative is present, he starts to have different questions in his mind. What if she's with me for the money? What if she has some mercantile goals? What if she just wants me to solve her problems? And when he starts having such questions, what's he going to do? Ask you these questions? He'll chicken out. Yes, he didn't listen to John Dollar, who says you should ask directly right away. And he'll think, well, maybe I should look for another option. And so it seems the girl has heard that only male initiative is needed. As a result, she's surprised why he went to someone else.
And writing first?
Of course, it's cool.
It's normal.
Sweetie, how are you? How's your mood?
Also, it's just so demonized.
I have a friend who went on a date with the girl the day before yesterday. And she wrote to him first. Did he lose interest in her? On the contrary, he thought, phew, thank goodness she writes to me first, so it's not for nothing. It means she's interested in me.
And it's important for you to feel that too. Well, you also worry that you're not interesting.
Of course. That's why, ideally, it should be 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
And then in relationships, it's all the same. Those are ideal relationships.
Maintain it.
Initiative should be 50-50. He does something for you, you do something for him. You see that he is interested in you. He sees that you are interested. Somewhere there's a failure. Then we shouldn't be surprised why he found someone else and you found someone else.
There are also women's courses that teach you should. For example, a man texted you. You waited for his message for 15 minutes. So you should wait 30 minutes. That is double the time. Then there's a rule that...
Let's start with this first.
Okay,
Why? What do you think?
like you're all busy and untouchable. You don't hold the phone in your hands every 2 seconds. And we're talking to 100 other suitors. And now it's his turn.
There's something to that. But let me tell you how it actually happens. Let's look at it, for example, through your eyes, from a woman's perspective, to make it clearer. You wrote something to a man, he takes a long time to reply, and you're very interested in him.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost in love already. What's happening to you? You wrote to him, and he hasn't replied for 2 hours.
It bothers you.
At first, you're like, did he reply? Didn't he reply? Yeah. Reply, didn't reply. Then comes the next stage. Maybe you wrote to him incorrectly. Maybe you should have done it differently. Change it. Tweak, 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 tweak. You changed it, sent it. Next. He didn't reply. What happens at this moment when a girl constantly picks up her phone, thinking about him?
Well, it's like a mental chewing gum, thinking I'm not interesting to him.
No, she starts to invest. She thinks about him, invests emotionally. And the one who invests
That one is more interested.
falls in love.
Sorry, give it to me. Poorly prepared for the lesson.
There are 5 factors of how a girl can invest and how a man can invest to trigger, so to speak, the mechanism of falling in love. This is one of the factors, emotional investment.
Mm-hmm.
And this technique is precisely to warm up the emotional interest a bit more. Because when you respond to him every second, he doesn't have time to miss you, worry about you, or think about you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you haven't replied for a long time, he does the same thing. The man does the same. She hasn't replied, oh my. She hasn't replied, what's going on? What's wrong? Maybe I wrote something wrong. He thinks, invests, fears losing you. And from this, he falls in love. You said there are five factors. 5 factors by which you can understand whether a person will fall in love with you or not. Go ahead, please tell us. Time. He sits and thinks about you, organizes something. Principles, for example, never does. From a man's or a woman's perspective.
Both men's and women's. Let's start with men's.
Men's. For example, he never gave flowers to a girl on the first date. He gave them for you. He went against his principles, did something for you that he never did for anyone else. Did he invest? Of course. With money. How? Did he treat you to dinner? If he earns $1 million and he treated you to a dinner costing 10,000, had a good time. Did he invest or not?
No.
Why? He paid the bill for 10,000. Well, he sat there himself, ate. For him, it's kind of, yes. So an investment is when he spends almost everything on you.
Uh-huh.
That's how you can understand that he invested. Investing means he's interested. Like what happened with me, for example, right? A girl gave me a car.
Really?
Yes.
So you were given a car?
Yes. A girl in a relationship gave me a car for New Year. A BMW 640. It cost 3 million back then. Well, now it's probably over 5 million. She only had half the amount. So she had 1.5 million, and she borrowed 1.5 million from her boss. Bought me a car. Question, is this a confirmation of love?
Yes.
Of course. When a man does something like that for you, it's a confirmation of love, as long as he didn't spend his last money on it. And it doesn't matter how much he earns. If he earns 50,000, but bought you an iPhone for 50,000, is that an investment? Yes.
I understand what you're saying. Proportion.
Yes. So this is how you should, that is, look at the facts. Is he investing or not? Then what else can he offer? Emotions. How can you check a man with emotions? How can he invest?
How?
With different dates. On one date, it's romantic. On the second, shooting. On the third, dinner on a boat. On the fourth, he organizes some scary quests for you. On the fifth, a candlelit dinner. On the rooftop with a saxophonist, a violinist playing, a guitarist. He organizes all of this. He invests or could have just casually sat with you in some restaurant like Coffee Mania.
Do men really do that?
Almost never. First, they don't know that. This scheme works. Different dates, giving the girl different emotions. And second, they don't know what kind of dates to organize, what needs to be done. Men think that a girl falls in love with logic. I came to the date, showed off my Rolexes, laid a stack of money on the table, came in classic attire. That's it. Now she's in love with me. But who falls in love with logic like that? Only who?
Men?
Escorts? It's beneficial for me to be with him.
Sorry.
But a normal girl falls in love with emotions.
Uh-huh.
Through different dates, different stories, she observes what kind of man he will be, as a husband, as a father to children, how he relates to this world, whether he helps others or not, how his surroundings speak of him. That's what a normal girl looks at. And because they think a girl falls in love with logic, they try to impress her with show-offs and then wonder why they attract materialistic girls. But how? To make a normal girl fall in love, one who is more interested in the man himself than his money, they don't know how to make her fall in love. Why don't they understand that a girl is made to fall in love with emotions? Give her emotions, and she will fall in love with you. Well, for example, how to make it more interesting? A simple test. You had 5 dates at some restaurant, sat with him eating oysters, with some champagne, or the first date at some cool restaurant, had a nice chat. The second date, you went and shot with rifles, shotguns. The third date, you went for a ride on the Radisson boat along the Moscow River by candlelight. Everything was very beautiful. The fourth date, you went and jumped with a parachute into some scary quest on a motorcycle at 300 kilometers per hour. The fifth date, there was a date on the rooftop, candles, romance, rose petals, a guitarist, a saxophonist. The sixth date, again, something mind-blowing, you went to an amusement park.
Uh-huh.
With which man would you find it more interesting?
With the second one, with the varied dates.
Why?
Well, because, well, that's how you get to know a person better.
You experience with him
Different emotions.
different emotions. That's why.
Yes.
Therefore, a man learns to give emotions, and the girl falls in love with him. And I understood this mechanism, and that's why I'm explaining how men can make girls fall in love with them. Using this mechanism, so far it shows a 100% clear result.
All right. And how should a girl make a man fall in love? Also through emotions.
Primarily through appearance.
Appearance.
Come looking sexy like that, like that. Short skirts, a neckline if there's something to show. All pretty and well groomed. Either show or tell that other men are interested in you. That really spurs us on.
Yes.
Show. People are looking at you. He sees how they look at you. Tell. While I was on my way to you, damn, the taxi driver already asked for my phone number. I'm shocked. You need to take me everywhere, or else I'll be stolen. He. Wow, really? Okay, you're walking with me hand in hand.
But he might not show it, the man.
What exactly?
Well, just some men. When you tell them something like that, they're like,
If he doesn't care, yes. But if he does care, it works amazingly well. He just doesn't understand how to react to it. Immediately arrange, so where? Show me the taxi driver's number. Bring him here. I'll have a word with him. Well, that's inappropriate. What kind of reaction can he have? Appropriate or inappropriate? I always teach. Why do I teach dating beautiful girls? Because I understand how to communicate with them, and I understand what will excite a man about it. But there are downsides to dating a beautiful girl for men. She is always interested in the popularity of other men. There will be competition. Therefore, when a girl comes to his home and says something like that, he should not cower in the corner. Like, oh damn, oh my, I don't know how to react. She will be taken away. Sweetheart, don't go anywhere else, because you can also set the wrong program of this competition. He will get the feeling that there's too much competition. You sit at home, cooking soups. It's not beneficial for either you or him. You sit down, start cooking soups, and the sexual interest in you disappears. That's the trick. He doesn't see that others are interested in you, and the sexual interest declines. He sees that others are interested in you. But in the right, yes, ecological way, the sexual interest is maintained.
You're talking about sexuality. Is sexuality about how confident a girl is? Or how she looks?
The physical body.
The physical body?
Primarily the physical body.
And how are things with sex and relationships in general?
She might not be his type at all, but she's confident. So, what?
He won't want her.
Of course not.
But what if she sends subtle sexual signals?
Doesn't matter at all. If a man isn't initially attracted to her, no amount of money, or anything else will help.
Got it.
For us men, thank goodness, that's how it works. You can also try to win someone over with your status, so to speak. For women, if she's not physically appealing and he's not a stripper,
Got it.
well, it's impossible to win them over.
Uh-huh.
I even remember when I just arrived in Moscow, my girlfriend offered to give me a Jaguar if I slept with her.
Why do people keep offering you cars?
I don't know. I realized it wouldn't work out, so I didn't even try.
Uh-huh.
That's why we're more interested in, first and foremost, not the intelligence. Not the intelligence of the woman. Not what status she holds. Not that she has 10,000 subordinates at her factory. But how sexually attractive she looks.
Sexuality, well, for the first 6 months, okay? Yeah, it's cool. But later on, you're not interacting with her sexuality or her body, but with who she is as a person.
Right?
Well, it's like as if...
So you're saying that women are so dumb that a man loses interest in her after 6 months?
No. It's just that there might be some... She might super excite him in some way. But at the same time, on some mental level, they might not be compatible with each other.
But somehow they got together in the beginning. A man isn't a fool either. Just seeing her breasts and buttocks and that's it. I'm with her for 6 months.
Of course. Well, you have to agree. When people fall in love, at first their heads are in a fog. Well, the first few months, it's all just merging with the partner and zero reality.
You might be spiritually advanced and he finds you interesting. But if there's something between you, some conflict, well, he doesn't want you. That's it. He stopped wanting you. Even if you might be incredibly sexy, nothing will work out, even though you are spiritually advanced.
In short, okay. How to evoke maximum sexual desire in men?
It doesn't need to be evoked, but maintained in a relationship.
How to maintain it?
Here, women make a big mistake, just like men do. Here's what I've noticed. What burns brightly burns out quickly. The sun, stars, fire, anything. Therefore, if you want to keep this fire going, it needs to be stretched out. As practice shows, why does sexual interest between a woman and a man decrease after 2, 3, 4 months? Because at the beginning of a relationship, some people, like rabbits, do it 5 times a day. What's your favorite fruit right now?
Watermelon.
Imagine being given watermelon 5 times a day, every day. Question. Oh, after how many days will you, even though you love watermelon, you won't want it anymore?
Yes, yes.
It's the same with intimacy. If you engage in intimacy every day, it will quickly burn out and lose its appeal. That's why I recommend, and by the way, I haven't heard this from any psychologists, that my approach is this. At the beginning, when you've just started, for the first 2 weeks, okay, as much as you want. On the contrary, you need it then. You have such a wild desire. But then 2 to 3 times a week at most, not 2 to 3 nights, with like 15 times a night, 2 to 3 times a week, to maintain sexual interest in each other. Why? For the man, it will build up until the next time. He will prepare for it and want it. And the woman will prepare for it and want it too. And your sexual interest in each other will be constant, if not eternal.
Are you in a relationship right now? Do you use this
Of course,
principle?
of course.
And how does your girlfriend react to this?
Well, great.
Well, is she happy?
Yes?
Okay. That was just an off-topic question.
It's just that I had this, me and my clients, for example, I'm not from Rostov. I dreamed about her for 6 months before we met. I looked at her and thought, God, if I'm with this girl, I'll be the happiest in the world. 6 months later, she writes to me herself, Hi, I'm in Moscow. Let's meet up. And we lived in different cities. I said, okay, let's do it. That's awesome. So we started building a relationship. 4 months later, the girl I prayed for, saying, if she's with me, I'll be the happiest. My sexual interest in her declines. Why? First, we had a lot of intimacy at the beginning. And second, then we started driving each other crazy. So no matter how beautiful the girl is, if the emotional background between you is already so-so, and you're in a quarrel, he also stops wanting it. Just like for the girl.
Mm-hmm. What other mistakes do girls make in sex?
So 2 or 3 times. Second, as I said, always looking sexual. That is, at home, be beautiful and sexy, not wearing those unclear shorts or pajamas, as that is actually off-putting. That's it. He doesn't come around. Just imagine he's walking around the apartment in something unclear. The girl's sexual interest will also be so-so. But if he's walking around the apartment like, wow, damn, you look at him and you want to slap his butt, pinch his chest, and feel his biceps. That's the first thing. Second, 2 or 3 times a week. Third, if there are any conflicts, they need to be resolved immediately, because no matter how sexual you are, I'll repeat, if you're in a quarrel, he doesn't care at all. Emotionally, a man always leaves, not because of the girl, but because of the emotions he experiences with her. If he starts experiencing negative emotions, no matter what it's about, even if it's about sex, it's not related to sex, he still leaves her, no matter how sexual she is. Next, maintain competition for yourself, but the right kind, as I say. Not by going on dates with others, but by showing. Sometimes someone wrote to show, sometimes someone...
Well, how is that to show?
Sweetie, some guy is asking me, where should I send the flowers? What do you think I should tell him? What? That's all. But it sticks in the mind. Sweetie, while I was on my way to meet you at the restaurant for our date, a guy wanted to get to know me, but I told him I'm in a relationship. He mentally checks it off. You know, you're interesting, other men are interested in you. When you go out with him, dress sexually too. Not provocatively, but sexually, so he can see how other men look at you. And his interest is also fueled by this. Although,
And where's the line between provocative and sexual?
no, although, what do many men want? For other people to always look at his girlfriend, or on the contrary, to keep her at home so he doesn't feel competition.
It depends on the man's confidence.
Yes. But most often, both psychologists and a huge number of men, at least 80%, want to keep her at home. For her to dress non sexually, to, so to speak, play it safe. Why do I need this competition? Why do I need this back and forth? And then they wonder why they don't desire their woman and go to mistresses instead. Because how does his woman look now? In a burqa, while the mistress is in short skirts, slits, and so on. They make this mistake and then wonder why. The sexual interest in the girl has disappeared. But the remaining 20%, for example, me. I always say, you always go out with me looking sexy. And debauchery, that depends on the man himself. How much? Maybe for someone this skirt is already sexy, and for someone else, it's that one. It depends on the man.
But there are no common standards.
No. For example, I have an acquaintance, also a stripper. He dressed himself like extremely provocatively.
Why also?
Well, like a girl. The girl was wearing a skirt like this, where you could barely see her panties, and she had a top like this, and she had breasts like this, and a top like this. That's it. For him, that's normal. And for her, it's normal when he's in classic trousers, and his shirt is unbuttoned all the way down, and everything is visible, so to speak. For her, it's also cool, awesome. So for everyone, sexual interest is what they allow you. I like it when it's short, with some slit, and you can see the back. Or a long dress, but with a slit here. Sex. For me, that's sexy. But for someone, it's too much. For someone else, it's not enough. So start from your man's desires. But it's also not worth wearing a burqa. Otherwise, with such thoughts, he thinks it will be easier for him, as no one else is competing for her. And then, as a result, he breaks up with her because he no longer desires her sexually. And that's the man's mistake. He thinks, as we do, if I no longer desire her sexually, I've fallen out of love with her. That's a dangerous, extremely dangerous thought.
That's not true.
It is true. If a man stops physically desiring his girlfriend, he starts thinking, that means I don't love her anymore. And then he has two options. Either just break up or simultaneously look for another option. That's how important it is to always be sexually attractive to your man. If he stops desiring you, that's very bad.
Listen up. But isn't it possible to revive a relationship? To bring back, to rekindle the passion?
Yes. Let me share another secret. In general, how a person falls in love only in two cases. Either they fear losing you, or they feel competition, that someone else might take you away. Either a friend from a woman's perspective, or another man from a man's perspective. Only in this case. Until that moment, a girl feels pleasant, comfortable, and sweet with a man. He is kind and gentle, but until she sees, for example, that she might feel she could lose him. They had a fight, and he disappeared. And only at that moment does the girl realize, damn, how much he means to me. Or he could have died, been in a car accident. The girl thinks he could have died, oh my. And then the feelings even restart. Could I have lost him, never to see him again? He could have been put in prison, and you thought I won't see him for at least 6 months, or maybe even half a year? Did I not appreciate those moments with him? And this feeling of loss either initiates love or restarts love. And the second moment is when a girl sees that another is trying to take him away. Or conversely, when a man sees that another is trying to take you away. It's only at this moment that love is also initiated. In other cases, it's just nice, pleasant, comfortable, tender, romantic. But that's not love.
And what is the difference for you between infatuation and love?
That's exactly the difference. Infatuation is when it's nice, pleasant, comfortable, and a person sees the next couple of months with them. And love is when you see the person for a lifetime. And you're afraid of losing them. You've gone through that stage where there was a possibility, like, for example, I'll tell you my story. I've been dating my girlfriend for a month. She's an Afro model, studying to be a doctor. We get stopped by the traffic police. She feels nice, pleasant, and comfortable with me. I can see that. But I don't see that she's fallen in love, really fallen in love. The traffic police stop us, and I'm taken to the police station. and it's unclear how long I was supposed to stay there. A couple of hours, a week, a month, or years. I send her home by taxi. In the morning, I come home, and she tells me, I cried all night. What? Because I was afraid. What? Who knows if we would see each other again? And I realized that I don't want to lose you because I love you. That's how this mechanism started for her. The same thing happens with all people, both with girls and with men. That's when we just start falling in love. That's the difference in infatuation. We just had great, amazing dates, great sex, and love. When a person understands, I could lose, and am I ready to lose you? Or do I want to live my whole life with you? And that's when they say, no, I'm not ready to lose you. I want to spend my whole life with you. That's exactly when the transition from infatuation to love happens.
Did you know that some stars shine only for one person? There is such a phenomenon as variable stars. Their brightness changes, as if they are winking at those who look at them from Earth, as if choosing for whom to shine. If you look deeper, it's not just a beautiful metaphor, it's a fact, because we are literally made of stars. The iron in our blood, the calcium in our bones, the carbon in our skin. All of this was once part of distant stars that exploded millions of years ago. Their light went out, but the particles remained in each of us. Perhaps that's why sometimes this inexplicable chemistry happens between people. And you look at a person, you are just who you are. But for them, the whole world around fades away. It's important to remember that.